All right.
Welcome.
We're back with another episode of Expandable, and this is going to be really short, but we just thought we'd jump on here and kind of do a quick PSA. We talk a lot about being in the operations of your business and all the things that it takes to run a company and, build good teams and all of these things. All of that is good and should be, watched over and cared for, but with it, you can't be too deep into your business and forget about the importance of sales. Sales is the oxygen for a good growing business.
Yeah.
So, if you really like a kind of as PSA, just like, almost like a short, like, if you are in the minutia of operating your business and you've kind of, honestly forgot about sales, whether you have a big sales team and, how they're being directed, or you have one or two salespeople, or you're still the salesperson, it's always good to go back to the fundamentals and say, okay, what's our sales pipeline look like? And what are we doing to prioritize sales in our business?
You're right. And I've noticed over the years too, some, especially new in the sales, is as they get success, then they slow on the new ones, and realize that, wait a second, you're not going to have success a year from now if you're not doing the grunt work, because nobody likes that first introductory, that first timing in, doing that. There's a lot of work of going through, whether it's meeting people, whether it's cold emails, whether it's cold phone calls, or whatever, that whole beginning work, it's exhausting.
It really is.
And so I can see where they, sales, especially new sales, they do that for a long period. And now the fruits of labor is coming through because they've, maybe had 10,000 impressions and now they're getting a couple through. Yeah. And then they slow down there and realize, wait a second, you need those 10,000 impressions daily. If you want to continue
12
sales.
Or 15 or 20, Yeah, it's true. And even if you have a sales team that's operating autonomously and you're running the company, just peeking inside that door and saying, hey, all's good, but I just want to now look a little closer into what's happening here and make sure we're on the right track. These are all good things to do because sales create so many things. It's such a cascade effect in your business. It creates the most problems or the most positives in your business. I mean, just to name a few, it creates sustainability, to your point. If you have that pipeline that's full and rich and growing, you're given the space to be innovative. You're given the space to experiment, to spend cash on something that may not work out. Yeah. You're given the space. We see this with venture capital or venture-backed companies all the time, where they come in with just flush with cash and they try all of these things. And a lot of them fail, and some good nuggets come out of it for the populace, at large, and for the company if they stay afloat. But they can't do it without cash. So smaller companies, they have to actually go sell business and bring in a customer, take care of them, do all the operational pieces, which causes problems, fires to put out and all these things. But the front end needs to be prioritized so that you can have new problems to put out and change and grow your business in that way. So that's really all this is about. It's just bringing that back to your mind.
Just having consistency on the sales through good times and bad times, because you can't have it where the sales get complacent during good times. When prosperity of the economy, when they didn't have to sell as much, and they get complacent. We've got a buddy that's in the car industry right now. Because there was such low inventory, the car salesmen, they didn't have to be sell. If you went and bought a car over the last several years, it was like, MSRP, that's it. No, we're actually over MSRP. Take it or leave it. There's not going to be another one. Somebody else will buy it. I've heard stories of being in there and the salesperson being like, I don't care, buy it or not, because they're getting sales regardless because it's such inventory. And that
changes.
And there was a ton of demand for the product too. Now demand's waning, and those salespeople, they created such horrible habits, and now they have to get back to it in the sales. So,
I can't imagine someone getting hired at that point who's never sold cars, thinking that's how it's going to be.
Oh yeah,
and then it changes, and they're like, "I'm not really good at this."
And so now they're like, "Oh, wait a second. Now we need to contact the true salespeople, the outside vendors that are going to add value to here, because wait a second, now we don't have the demand, and now my in-house salespeople are all rude as can be.
Yeah. Yeah. So, to keep this short, I would say, you might ask the question, well, how do I do this? The way I would approach it is it's a mindset of creating systems, again, in your business, but a systematic sales mindset. So saying, if you look at other things in your business, some more natural than others, you build systems around them so you don't have to constantly be reactive to them. I think in sales, it can be the same way. It's building a sales strategy, a sales process, building a sales team that can operate inside of that. And I think
this is actually, one area that I know I need to improve on.
I think everyone does, even if they have it in place. That's the whole point of this, is I think no one is doing it perfect unless what you're selling is a sales system, and even then.
But I think in sales change, maybe the mode of getting attention worked. I mean, you and I had great success on Google AdWords for a few weeks, and it was wonderful. And then lo and behold, it changed, and everyone calling in had nothing to do with their ad because they resold it to all these providers that we had no control of, and it just threw it, and then we had to change, and that didn't work. We had to try something else.
Yeah. So, I think that's how you do it. You approach it with a systematic mindset, or as close to it as you can, based on where you're coming from, and revisit it. Like, that's really the whole point of this, is like, if you haven't revisited in 3 months or 3 years, might be a good time to just take a peek back on what's happening on sales. To the point of like the car market being up and then down, a lot of businesses, most businesses at some point or another are in the same way, where the market ebbs and flows. Sales are just coming through the door, and you're doing the hard work of selling them. During good times,
you need to be consistent, and you need to be just as nice when you want the business. Are you kidding me? Because I hope that some of those salespeople that were rude when they were in more of a place of control, that, hopefully they're affected during these times now, so they don't do that again.
Yeah. So if you haven't looked at your sales process in a little while, probably a good idea to do that. Look at your team. What kind of people do you have watching over that? Even if you're a small company and it's just you and a few people, how are you going to, what's the rhythmic way that you're going to look at this on a month-to-month, quarter by quarter basis, that even if you are at a point, because even though we are kind of in a weird economic landscape, a lot of businesses are prosperous right now, and you can be fooled by thinking that it's always going to be this way.
Correct.
This is the whole story of the stock market. It's like, it's always going to be this way, and then all of a sudden it crashes, and it's like, well, it was someone else's fault. Why didn't someone tell me? No one's going to tell you.
I always think Peloton, like, can you believe the stocks decreased? The best thing in the world to happen to in-house. People could not
go conditions.
They could not go to the gym. They worked from home, and they had to be in-house. See, they upped their production level at the level that was the best thing that ever could have happened to them. Just,
And now, how do you stay?
Yeah, but except that those several years were just the best sales ever. And I don't know how you could attain that again, because, I mean, that was just confluence of you were in the right place, right time. But
no, I think that's a good point. You got all this influx of sales, and you think it's only going to keep going up to the right.
But you need to realize, like, okay, those sales didn't come from what we did as a team.
Right.
So that will go away. If it's nothing that you did to create those sales other than just be there.
It was an external factor.
Yes. Then it's not going to last.
Right.
You have to know that. Don't build up your production line at max capacity. It's something that's not going to last.
Right.
Yeah.
So pay attention, where your sales coming from. Is it external factor? Is it, fabricated? Is it something that your team's doing well? Revisit that and kind of look at it with a keen eye. And I think it's going to help people to, maybe fortify in the midst of dropping off a cliff at some point.
You can't just assume that, we're the best and that's why sales happen.
Right.
Maybe it's external factors, and people were giving free money, and that's why you're doing well. I mean, that's why a ton of businesses have done well over the last couple of years.
You got to be aware of what's really happening.
$3 trillion, here you go, and people are going to spend without as much thought.
Yeah.
Now that's going to change.
Yeah. That brings me to, I think, another topic we should cover is as knowing your business.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do that next.
Got it.
All right.
Have a good one.